So do not tell. And the one thing that happens in college life is this. How many of you guys have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you swore that you were going to tell them because you saw their girlfriend or boyfriend with somebody else? Have you ever had that? Having to make a decision. I saw your boyfriend with somebody else, so I think it's my duty to tell you that I saw your boyfriend with somebody else. Has that happened to you? Yeah? And you thought you were like doing this person a world of good? You're not. You're hurting her, right? If I saw her boyfriend with somebody else and I thought that I was all in, all righteous to tell her that her boyfriend, what? Am I telling the truth? Am I practicing ahimsa and satya? No, right? I'm not practicing ahimsa, nonviolence, because I'm hurting her. And I know full well it's going to hurt her when I tell her that her boyfriend was at the bar with some other guy. Right? It doesn't matter at this point, right? But the point is that it's not truthfulness if it's going to hurt her. Does that make sense? Yes? So you have to be careful. If I see her boyfriend, I say a little blessing, a little prayer, and that she may find her way, her truth, to find the right answer. Right? Because it's not my place to tell her something that's going to hurt her. Right? All right, so now I would like to read to you this little story about a great example of someone who observes satya. This is about a man named Patrick Riddle. Patrick had a real estate investing business that was thriving a few years ago. He had investors from all walks of life investing in his projects, and he was generously paid his dividends. So my family and I also invested in Patrick's company and were thrilled with our annual return. He always kept us informed about the growth of his company and gave us plenty of opportunity to invest, even in the smallest projects, making the return possible for just about anyone. When the market took a downturn, we still had investments in some of the properties in Patrick's company. The widespread panic that so many people felt across the nation was right in our backyard. Like so many investors, we were unable to pull our money out. As the market got worse and worse, Patrick's company went through all of its reserves and was unable to financially manage itself, and it went bankrupt. Some properties were upside down, some went into foreclosure, and he just was going into bankruptcy. He was devastated, and he stopped his payments to the rest of us, to all the investors. Patrick needed a new place to live. His credit took a dive. Many people would just walk away. File bankruptcy, and try to go get a life started somewhere else and hide. But in observing satya, Patrick knew he could not walk away from the very people who had put faith in him. He did not see this time in his life as a what's in it for me, but rather how can I be of service. When we remind ourselves that we ask ourselves how I can be of service, you will always be in truth. So he met face to face with every investor. That must have killed him. He was emotionally distraught, to say the least. He had lost 10 pounds. He cried when we were sitting in front of him, and we all felt for him as he cried, and he told us, I did the best I could. I can't pay you back right now, but someday I will. Patrick wanted to share his knowledge and the experience about real estate investing, including all the potential pitfalls, how to avoid mistakes, and how to take the proper steps to be a successful investor. As he went through an incredibly difficult process, as he spilled his guts to all of us, and many of us just accepted, his honesty and his truthfulness weighed deep into my heart. Patrick still meets with his original investors regularly, is on track to pay them all back. Through his honesty and his silence in the absence of material distraction, he was able to serve people everywhere by creating a useful portal of information that people could access. He started a website saying, go here so that you don't fall into these traps. So he started to charge for this website. Pretty soon he was making enough money to pay all the people back. Through continuing forward in his investment, despite the circumstances, and starting his teaching business with his blog, which was created out of observing Satya, he was making a comeback in a huge way. Right? So Patrick then went on to take his disaster, but he followed the path of Ahimsa and Satya. He lived on the streets for a few, I changed the names, this is a true story. He lived on the streets for quite a bit of time because he didn't want, and many of the investors asked him to come live with them, but he would not. So he would drive his car to the Starbucks, and that from there he did his blogs, all in an effort to pay these people back. He is now, once again, a multimillionaire, with many investors following him. So the truth is about finding the courage to face your truth and to face the truths that you guys have to deal with. It's not easy, but how many times have we not hurt somebody's feelings and then we're afraid to face the truth and ask for forgiveness? Anybody? Yes? No? Anybody hurt anybody's feelings, or are you guys all angels in here? And when you have hurt those feelings, how hard was it to go to that person and say, I'm so sorry?
I usually don't. I'm like really prideful.
But pride is another side effect of the ego. It's time to let that aside. Okay? It's time to let that aside, and that's what we practice here in yoga. So here's what I want you to do. Here's your homework. I want you to write me a time, just like a story. Write me a little story, just like if you were talking to. I want you to write me a little story, and you're going to tell me of a time when you hurt somebody's feelings by not telling the truth. And did you go back and ask for forgiveness, or how did it make you feel, or is that situation still pending? And then what are you going to do about it? Now that you know, what are you going to do about it? Any questions on your homework? No? We got it?